with Terence Crawford. You know, big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will.
Canelo lands good punches. I think Canelo could hurt Crawford. Crawford's, you know, first time in that division and jumping 2 divisions.
No way against lesser competition. He knocks him the hell out. Canelo doesn't finish these guys, and he doesn't look good beating them. You know, shout out to the judges. The judges, man.
Andre Ward praised Terence Crawford as one of boxing's most dangerous finishers, explaining why he believes Crawford could overwhelm Canelo Álvarez. Ward emphasized that Crawford has a rare killer instinct. When he senses weakness, he never allows an opponent to recover. Instead, he unleashes sharp combinations with perfect timing until the fight is over. According to Ward, this ability to close the show at any moment makes Crawford dangerous in every round. For Canelo, that means a single mistake could lead to a sudden and devastating ending.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. You know, big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. You know, it ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me that you.
Ward also expressed deep respect for both Crawford and Canelo as they prepare to meet. He noted that this fight isn't just about money, it's about legacy. Ward admires the courage it takes for 2 established champions to risk everything at this stage of their careers. He believes matchups like this elevate the sport, giving fans a true clash of greatness. For him, this fight represents the very best of boxing.
Man, what's up, fight fans? It's official. I'm gonna be the 3rd man ringside, calling the Canelo Álvarez Terence Crawford fight September 13th at Allegiant Stadium. I'm excited to be a part of this event. I'm excited to be ringside, calling this great card and this great matchup. Historic event for many, many reasons for both fighters. Super middleweight supremacy on the line, legacy's on the line, your namesake and reputation is on the line, and I just take my hat off to both of these fighters for putting everything on the line late in their careers the way that they are. This is rare, and it's becoming more and more rare in boxing. Guys don't want this kind of smoke. They really don't want to face another counterpart that can ruin everything that they've built. And it really don't matter how much money's on the table for a lot of guys. They'd rather take a lesser risk for less money than to risk everything like these 2 fighters are doing. So I take my hat off to them. And I also want to give a shout out to Turki Al-Sheikh for all that he's done to put this fight on. Dana White for all that he's done to put this fight on. And one more person that stays out the way and you don't really hear a lot about, but that has done a lot to make this fight happen as well. And that's my brother Nick Khan. He just gets stuff done, man. And I want to thank him and shout him out as well for getting this done. So I'll see y'all in Vegas, man. Part of me wants to be home watching this fight in street clothes. But I got to take the street clothes off. I got work to do. I got to put that suit on, get ringside with John and Max, and call this fight like I know we can. Huge event, huge implications, historic night, and I'm happy to be a part. I hope to see you in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. If not,
Robert Garcia offered his perspective on Canelo's recent performances, saying the Mexican superstar hasn't looked as sharp as he once did. Garcia pointed out that Canelo's hand speed and footwork seem slower, making him appear less threatening than during his prime. For a fighter like Crawford, who thrives on timing, precision, and adaptability, that could be a major opening. Garcia warned that unless Canelo regains his old sharpness, Crawford's speed, angles, and ability to adjust mid-fight could become decisive advantages.
Jumping 2 divisions where he only had 1 fight at 154 and didn't look his best either. So there's a lot of questions, you know, about that. And that's why a lot of people think Canelo is going to knock out Crawford. But I'm probably one of the only ones that I do give Crawford a chance. Yeah. I think Crawford could pull it off. Crawford is very talented. He's very fast. He's very smart in the ring. So I think a perfect fight, Crawford could pull off a decision.
Okay.
I think he could win a decision. I don't pick him. You know, I wouldn't put my money on him winning because it's a very dangerous, risky fight, especially with Canelo being so strong. But Canelo's last few performances, he's looked slow, flat-footed, looking for 1 punch at a time. And if that's the Canelo that fights Crawford, Crawford could win a decision. Crawford could outbox him, could outsmart him, could land 3-4 punch combinations and move and win a decision. So do I give Crawford a chance? 100% think Crawford could pull it off. Would I put my money on it? Probably not, but I do give him a chance.
Yeah, good stuff. Look, Robert, I appreciate you taking time to speak to me. I appreciate you letting me in the gym today. Always a pleasure. And yeah, hopefully be catching up sometime soon.
Thanks
appreciate
for coming.
it. Thank you
very much.
Boxing analyst Teddy Atlas raised concerns about Canelo's training camp, suggesting that he may be overdoing it. Atlas noted that including rising star Jaron Boots-Ennis in sparring might be excessive for an already intense camp. He stressed that training smart is just as important as training hard and that Canelo might be draining himself before fight night. According to Atlas, pushing too hard in preparation could leave him flat and vulnerable when it matters most.
So, I avoided that. I would bring in specific sparring partners that knew how to be a sparring partner. Yeah, if I wanted something, I went over to him before the day started. Listen, I want you to do this. All right. I'm paying him. I have the right to do that. I want you to move more today. I want you to, you know what? I want you to press him a lot. You know what? There was a fight I was getting a guy ready for, and I was worried about the first couple rounds. So I said, when the bell rings, I want you to rush out of the corner and go right after him. And I was, obviously I had my guy ready because we were getting ready for that kind of fight plan, for the possibility that the opponent would come out that way. So I wouldn't look to get a Boots-Ennis. I mean, nothing wrong with that's what they want. That's fine. And I get it, the style, the size, the length. I understand. It's not a bad pick from that point of view. But for me, again, I never go down that road because I got my guy getting ready for a fight. I don't want to leave it in the gym. I don't want to get into that kind of war in the gym. No, I want to have control of all aspects of what the hell I'm doing in the gym to get ready for one night. So no, I wouldn't do that. I'd get the right sparring partners. If I thought I had a guy, I get guys that my guy could work with, and if he was having an off day, he could kind of, have his way and do what he wanted with the guy. I'd have one of them. I'd probably have 3 guys, sometimes 4, depending on where we were at, with the calendar when the fight was coming up.
Atlas expanded on that point, saying Canelo's toughest fights might be happening behind closed doors in the gym. He warned that overly brutal sparring could leave Canelo peak too soon, spending his best effort in training instead of saving it for fight night. If that happens, Crawford's pace and precision could become even harder for Canelo to handle once the bell rings.
And a lot has been taken out of you in the gym. You left it in the gym. And we heard that Jaron Boots-Ennis was getting the best of Canelo Álvarez in his sparring sessions. That he possibly gave him a black eye. We saw the knot on his head. That was just a week ago. The fight is next week, next Saturday. So 3 weeks out from the fight, and you having this hard sparring sessions with Jaron Boots-Ennis, who wants to prove a point. Leave no doubt. Jaron Ennis is going into those sparring sessions not just to be a sparring partner, but to gauge where he stands against a legend and a Hall of Famer and a superstar like Canelo Álvarez, to understand where he can get better and understand that he can actually compete on that level. So make no mistake about it, Jaron Boots-Ennis wasn't in there to lay down. Now, he had a job to do. He was there for a specific reason, which is to give Canelo looks that Terence Crawford could possibly give him. But you best believe, in those sparring sessions, he gonna give what he have. He gonna test the waters to see where he stands, right? Not just to help Canelo, not just to be a dummy. There's a reason you bring in a high-profile fighter. And so Teddy Atlas believes this is a huge mistake on Canelo Álvarez's part, because now he has possibly left it in the gym. And now he got to go into battle with Terence Crawford. So it's like having 2 fights in a matter of 3 weeks. and your body's going to show the wear and tear.
One major talking point ahead of this fight is Canelo's ever-present punching power. Even when he's slower or less mobile, his knockout threat forces opponents into survival mode, often making fights go the distance. But against Crawford, that might not work. Crawford has shown time and time again that he can break down defensive fighters with traps, feints, and sudden bursts of offense. If Canelo relies solely on power to keep Crawford cautious, it may not be enough to prevent him from taking control.
And no, for sure. I mean, we all see that fucking Canelo got power. That's the same reason why, at the same time, Canelo ends up going the distance with a lot of these guys, because these guys are just on survivor mode, you know? They're not trying to fight back. They're not trying to win. They're just surviving, which is hard to knock somebody out that's just surviving, you know? So I feel like Canelo's power is definitely there. I just think it's just a matter of how Crawford reacts when he feels it, you know? Is he gonna be one of those survivors, or is he gonna actually, you know?
No, I think Crawford will go out on the shield. I think he's gonna fight and go out like a warrior.
At the same time, I feel like he does that, then it gives Canelo a chance to be able to clip him, you know? More of a chance.
Well, Turkey said no more Tom and Jerry. I don't expect him to run.
I mean, I don't expect him to run, but at the same time, it's boxing, you know? It's boxing, it's hit and don't get hit, swim and not get
Is
wet,
that what
you know?
Haney did when he fought Jose
No,
Ramirez?
but that's a different type of.
Is that what William Skull did when he fought Canelo?
Yeah, that's. I feel like it's just. I feel like when you watch Bivol versus Betterby, the second fight, that's great boxing right there.
Some analysts have also questioned the quality of Canelo's recent wins. While he has kept winning, many argue his victories have been less dominant, relying on size and strength rather than sharp boxing skills. Crawford, on the other hand, brings a deeper arsenal, switch-hitting ability, slick punching, high ring IQ, and footwork that frustrates even elite opponents. This contrast has led many experts to favor Crawford despite Canelo's legendary resume.
He knocks him the hell out. Canelo doesn't finish these guys, and he doesn't look good beating them. You know, shout out to the judges. The judges make Canelo look good for the past 6 fights. And so now we sit here, you know, what is Canelo going to do against Crawford? And while some of you are saying, you know, domination and weight, really the only thing that I hear is his weight, his power, his weight, his power, his weight, his power. And that's all that he has. But when I get to talking about Crawford, we'll dive into that.
Well, to Byron's point, the last quality, super quality fight that Canelo had was against Dimitri Bivol, and we all know what happened with that. You know,
no, I thought Caleb Plant was a good opponent.
Oh,
I thought Caleb Plant was a good opponent.
Well, it was Caleb Plant, then it was Bivol.
Yeah, right.
Plant, then Bivol.
Well, don't forget to point out that Bivol came down, right?
No, that was 175.
Canelo went up.
Canelo went up.
So that kind of puts Canelo at a disadvantage, right? He tested.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to say that,
great.
if you want to say that,
I mean, you know,
I can argue.
But I mean, I'm not saying that that's an excuse for him for losing. I'm just saying, hey, you know, if you're gonna test yourself to be great, you gotta wear the consequences.
So let me ask. So no, you're right, 100%. But let me ask you a question. I'm just asking because I don't know. Like, so when you watching that fight, did you think it was a weight issue, or did you think it was more of a skill and boxing thing when watching that fight with Bivol and Canelo?
I thought he was outclassed.
I agree. Yeah, it was
outclassed.
And it looked like he was being outclassed by basic fundamental boxing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So that was my point. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I don't think Bivol's weight had anything to do with him, because Bivol's not a knockout artist.
And this legendary power that y'all speak of, this ass-taking Zeus god power that he has, it did not show in that.
Gabe Rosado, however, leans toward Canelo, citing his vast experience under the brightest lights. He argued that Canelo has been fighting elite opposition since his teenage years, building a resume full of high-pressure moments. In contrast, this would be Crawford's first time headlining a global mega-event of this magnitude. While Rosado respects Crawford's skill set, he believes Canelo's experience could make the difference when the stakes are at their highest.
I favor Canelo. Not by a lot, but I do favor him. I just think that, you know, I think the Skull fight was just a bad style. And I think Canelo was like, why force the issue? You know what I mean? I'm up. This guy's running. I'm not gonna take a chance. So I think that it was that kind of fight for Canelo. But Marjamov did give Crawford problems. You know what I'm saying? And where I felt like, damn, at 54, he gave you problems. 68 is different. You know what I'm saying? So you going up 3 weight classes, he was 47, 54, 60, 68, that's 3 weight classes. It's a major difference, man. And you know, one thing is like, right, so people are saying Canelo has problems with movers, but the reality is Crawford's not a mover. Crawford's not a fighter that fights on his feet in the sense of boxing, kind of like, let's say, how a Pernell Whitaker would box or how Andy Lara would box. Crawford is a fighter that works on angles. He's not on his feet like Muhammad Ali. You know what I'm saying? He's not that kind of boxer. So he's going to be there to get hit, you know? And I feel like that favors Canelo, because Canelo's going to hit you in the arms. He's going to hit you in the elbows. He's going to hit anything you give him, he's going to take it. You know what I mean? And now, overnight, is Crawford just going to switch his style and become a mover, moving up 3 weight classes? So now you're going to put all that weight on your legs, and you never boxed like that before. How can you do that?
Showbiz the adult brought up what he calls the Canelo May curse, pointing out that Canelo often looks rusty in fights that take place in May, largely due to long layoffs after his September bouts. He highlighted that Canelo tends to look his sharpest when he fights again in September, referencing dominant wins like his performance against Jermall Charlo. Still, some analysts remain cautious about Crawford's jump in weight. They point to his fight with Israil Madrimov, where he looked good but not as dominant as fans expected. His power seemed less devastating, and at times his movement wasn't as fluid as in lighter divisions. Critics warned that if he showed vulnerabilities at that weight, facing Canelo, a naturally bigger, more durable fighter, could present an even greater challenge. Whether Crawford can maintain his trademark sharpness and power against someone like Canelo will only be answered in the ring.
Mexican Independence Day, September, and in May he always has a bad performance called the Canelo May curse, and come September is a better performance. His best performances are in September, because since he only fights once a year, after September is a long layoff until May again, which is kind of like his tune-up fight where he looks rusty. I gotta see if this is true, so I brought up the box rack and I want to go through this with you guys to see if it's actually true. Now, if it is, that's bad news for Terence Bud Crawford, right? So let's look at this. May, William Skull. We're gonna go from recent to the past. William Skull, May. We all know that was a horrible performance, to the point where people think Saul Canelo Alvarez is, you know, he's not looking right. He's finally starting to kind of go down in his abilities, right? And all those things. And this is kind of like the end of his career type of thing. He's in worse shape than Terence Bud Crawford because of this performance. And I've heard people say that before, and I'm wondering if that's every May. So William Skull, bad performance, May. September, good performance, Edgar Berlanga. Lightning strike! Okay, we all know that was a good performance. Everybody was excited about that fight. Jaime Munguia, May! He's been very criticized about going 12 with Jaime Munguia, right? He knocked him down, but going 12 with Jaime Munguia, and people saw that as a horrible performance from Saul Canelo Álvarez. I actually liked that fight. They were going at it, but...
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more breakdowns, predictions, and fight week updates.